Now that we've learned why your ticket to go see a concert costs what it does, let's dive into the film industry. The average Hollywood film requires a crew of at least 200 people who may be working on that one film for sometimes 2 years. But because many of us watching won't ever have the need to produce a Hollywood film, we're going to explain something a little bit smaller, such as the average 60-second commercial. This way you can begin to understand something small scale, and if you want, you can easily scale up all the numbers and find out how much it requires for a Hollywood film. Plus, if you have a film in mind, many times you can search on Google the movie title and how much it costs to make it, and how much it grossed at the box office. So us explaining how many millions it cost would be kind of repetitive. The average 60-second commercial begins with a production group, such as Haslam Productions. You see, most times in the live event world, the client decides to do an event and seeks out the best engineering company for the job. But with films and videos, the production group most times has to seek out the customer and present them with the idea and convince them it's worthwhile. This requires an ambitious and well-informed sales team, basically going door to door. Once a potential client decides on doing a commercial, the crew sits down and comes up with a funny and informative concept that will entertain and motivate viewers to buy the product being showcased. After a few drafts go back and forth between the production group and the client, the final draft is signed off on, and pre-production can finally begin. Then the production group will find actors, locations, and prep all of their camera gear for the production days. And the normal commercial, music video, or smaller scale film requires a minimum of $10,000 of gear. To find the right actor for the job requires casting calls and tryouts. To find locations requires location scouts, going out to locations, seeing the facilities, and determining if the location is able to handle the production. Such facilities might be electricity and other accommodations. Sometimes 10 locations are looked at with a fine-tooth comb before one is chosen. And even then, the location is not for certain, since the production group has to approach the landowner and get written permission to use the location and apply for filming permit from the city or municipality the location is in, all to make sure that the legalities are all taken care of. For some feature films, such as my favorite movie called The Road, because it was set in a post-apocalyptic world, they found plenty of abandoned buildings and spots in Pennsylvania where much of the movie was shot, but they had to wait for years to find other spots to film. So when Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana, the film team rushed down to film the rest of their movie before anything was cleaned up. So while some might consider the whole event a disaster, others looked at the same event and saw a perfect location. Finally, on the day of shooting, all the equipment is loaded into a box truck and transported to the set. Sometimes the set is the actual business. For instance, if you're shooting a commercial for a restaurant, at least one of your locations would be the restaurant itself. But if you're shooting for a commercial for a car dealership who wants to showcase a certain model of car, the production crew is forced to find a road which they can shut down for a full day of production. This requires the crew to apply to the city to shut down the road, and then have police at each end to make sure no traffic goes through. And a simple shot would be with a camera sticking out of the back of a pickup or a van, but if you need a more complex shot, it requires calling in a company like Pursuit Systems and bringing in a camera car like this one, which is custom built at a cost of more than $500,000 each car. But many people think shooting a film or commercial is just about the camera gear, when in truth, a production group needs to have plenty of lighting gear and audio recording gear on set during production as well. Once the whole production has been completed, it's time to start editing. During this time, the production group will bring back actors into a studio and start to do ADR if needed, which is basically having actors restate all of the lines in a sound booth while watching the playback of their shot. This is also the time to do Foley sound effects, such as thunder or rain, and so on. Once all this is completed, it's time to log all the footage. This requires at least one member of the film crew to individually mark each of the video clips and sound files into the computer and make just to make it easier to find a certain take of that scene later on. Then all the files are copied onto multiple external hard drives located at multiple locations, sometimes hundreds of miles apart, to ensure if the main studio has a fire or something like that, or a natural disaster, the footage is not lost and would need to be reshot. Keep in mind that the average 1 terabyte hard drive costs around $80, and the average film crew goes through around 1 terabyte of memory every hour during production, and many videos take at least 4 hours to shoot. But that's just for one copy of the footage, when multiple copies need to be kept. But then it's time for editing, which may take several hours or may take several hundred hours, depending on how complex the commercial is. While the editors are working on the overall editing, they send certain shots to a VFX artist who paints in special effects and different aspects, which makes the overall video look much more amazing than it already is. The VFX artist sends his work back to the editors, and then the final edit can be completed. Once a final edit is completed, it's shown to a client who decides if he or she would like to make any changes. Finally, after any additional edits were made, the final product can be given to a local or national broadcaster to air on their network and be placed online to advertise on social media. But the whole process might take several months to complete, even for a small commercial. Now please keep in mind that not all 60-second commercials require all this, because there are plenty of commercials I've done which were quite simple and didn't require everything listed here. But just like with any other type of product, the more complex of a product you want, the more work it will require. And like I've said before, this is, after all, the entertainment industry, so most people don't put a value on what we do. When a skyscraper is being built, everyone can see it being built, and they can see that it takes months, if not years, to complete. But with the entertainment industry, when the audience arrives to a live event, the stage is fully assembled already, and they can sit and enjoy the show. And when people watch television or go to a theater to see a movie, all the production and editing has already been completed months ago. The viewer can relax and enjoy the picture. So the true problem isn't that the product isn't good enough. It's that when most people see the product, all the hard work has already been completed, so it looks easy. But I hope through this episode we've shown you that we like to make it look easy, but it's truly a lot of work to make it look that way. And if you still have your doubts and are still wondering why your ticket costs so much, I encourage you to search on YouTube for time lapses of the setup and tear down of your favorite concert. For instance, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra or U2 concert setup, both of which we have links to in the description below. We also encourage you to watch the television show produced by the world's largest stage company, Tate Towers, who's located in Lititz, PA, which showcases some of the challenges in making the major concerts possible, or YouTube the behind the scenes of your favorite Hollywood film. Or you can just look on the extras of a DVD that comes out later in Redbox, or pick up your favorite film and look at the behind the scenes. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for plenty of great content to come, and comment below or email info@mathhaslam.com with your suggestions for topics for upcoming episodes. This is, after all, a two-way street, so tell us what you'd like to see, ask us any questions you'd like, and we'll try our best to create the content you enjoy watching. Thanks for joining us, and see us back here every Sunday and Thursday for brand new episodes.